That's it. That's the.
That makes sense. Yeah, he's also obviously he's linked in with China. So I would, man,
That's
not surprised. Okay. So, and I kind of predicted this. I told you guys that more than likely this is going to be a part of a bigger probe. And that would make sense that this guy Singa might be someone that they're looking into. As you guys know, this is not the first time that people have been caught, getting funded by foreign governments or whatever it may be. And this guy Singham obviously lives in China. For those of you that don't know, China is one of the biggest counterintelligence threats to the United States. And Cuba, right? So the significance with Cuba, chat, is that Cuba is known for basically being a black market intelligence stronghold. What do I mean by this? So what they'll do is they'll steal secrets from the United States, because obviously they're very close to us. They're like 50 miles off the coast of Florida, 60 miles, whatever, under 100 miles. And they'll sell those secrets to our enemies, okay? Russia, China, Middle Eastern countries, Iran, whatever. So Cuba isn't it, and this is why we've kind of had problems with them for a very long time, is because Cuba's always been influenced by communist countries and adversaries. And not just influence, but they also steal secrets from the United States to sell in the black market. Cuba has very refined and very good intelligence programs and counterintelligence. So it would make sense that him going to Cuba and this being funded by, a left-wing, you can make the argument, socialist or communist based out of China, could be, obviously, is going to raise the eyebrows and, have the federal government interested. And this is why I said, if you guys remember, if you guys watched the last show that I had talking about this, I predicted that they're going to bring people in like HASAN Piker and others, bring them in under subpoena, ask them questions, right? And if they're able to build a criminal case against those individuals or against Singham or whoever else their main targets are, this organization that he's funding, they're obviously going to do that. Now, if I were HASAN, right? Now, I'll quickly kind of recap what I had said before, especially now with the little bit more of information that we have. You need to secure two types of lawyers. You need to secure one, an OFAC lawyer that specializes in sanctions and dealing with countries like that. And then number two, you need to hire a criminal defense attorney that specializes in espionage, FARA, all the foreign agent crimes, okay? And basically, you need to figure out what the deal is with why they're bringing you in. Now, what I also brought up was if his lawyer's smart, right, which I'm assuming if you hire, a private lawyer, whatever, they're going to straight up just go to the, they're going to, hold on one sec, chat. I got to get rid of some garbage real quick. As always, there's an idiot in chat. Enjoy the shadow realm, retard.
Time to send you to the shadow realm. The future is mine.
Anyway, so a good lawyer is basically going to be like, yo, why are you bringing what is my client the target of a criminal investigation or not? Right? They're just going to be straight up, hey, is he the target of a criminal investigation or not? Okay? And if someone's saying end YouTube? Yo, smash the like button on YouTube, by the way. If you guys are watching on YouTube, smash the like button on YouTube. I hate this platform, but I'm on here for you ninjas anyway. Anyway, if he gets a competent lawyer, what he can do is he can strike a 5K, okay, or do the testimony under a proffer. What is that? So first they need to establish, hey, is my client the target of a criminal investigation? Whether they say yes or no, right? If the lawyer's savvy, what he can do is he can say, okay, well, you know what? Here's what's going to happen. You're going to waste your time because he's just going to take the fifth the whole time. So what I can offer to you is he'll come clean. He'll tell you everything that you guys want to know, but you need to give us a 5K, which basically means as long as HASAN is honest and tells the truth about everything, everyone he met with, doesn't lie, doesn't do no bullshit, everything he says can't be used against him. Okay, the government's not gonna. They call it like a king for a day or queen for a day. Okay, also known as a 5K, also known as a proffer, right, or a castigar. And if that information, right, is helpful to the government, and if he's honest, he could pretty much avoid charges himself. So that's another option that he has. But obviously, you're going to need a good lawyer to, kind of figure this shit out. So, step one, read the subpoena. I don't think he even read the subpoena yet. He found out from Fox News, right? Read the subpoena. What the fuck do they want from you? Do they want you to come in and testify? Do they want you to produce documents? Do they want all of it? That's number one. Number two, contact, obviously, an OFAC lawyer. And for those of you that don't know, let me just show you guys this real quick because I understand we have a lot of new people that are probably watching the show. You guys are new here. So let me just show you guys. These are the people that basically brought HASAN in. Okay. The Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, is a financial intelligence and enforcement agency of the United States Treasury Department. It administers and enforces economic and trade sanctions in support of U.S. national security and foreign policy objectives. Okay. These are the people that basically that brought him in. Okay. These are the people. So, but they brought him in under an administrative subpoena. All right. It's not criminal yet. It's not a grand jury subpoena, which is good for him. But like I said before, I do think that it can easily rise to the level of criminal, or it's a part of a criminal investigation where they might be targeting someone else. So, number one, get a lawyer that specializes in OFAC, right? Sanction lawyer. Then number two, get a criminal defense lawyer that specializes in espionage, FARA, being a foreign agent, all that bullshit that has to deal with, counterintelligence / espionage / foreign agent of a hostile government, all that shit, right? Preferably in Cuban and or Chinese counterintelligence, and then obviously, maybe his lawyer can work out a deal. Contact the lawyer that's leading the subpoena, figure out what the fuck this is about, iron out if he's a target of investigation or he's simply going to be a witness, and then if they can, strike a deal, get him a castigar letter, and then be able to testify with some level of immunity. Right? And that's what sets apart good lawyers from shitty lawyers. And that is an option that's there. Now I know some of you guys might be saying, "Yo, Myron, why do you care? Like, fuck HASAN." Well, look, I'm under the premise that though I don't like HASAN and he doesn't like me, he's a far leftist, a socialist loser. And other words that I can't say because we're on YouTube. I do think that if we set a precedent of going after political people politically, I think it sets a bad precedent. Now, let me be clear about this. Obviously, progressives would probably not, extend that courtesy to us, but we're better than those niggas. Okay? We're better than them. Progressives have, always been the champions of censorship, the champions of pushing forward with trying to get us canceled and everything else like that. But we're not going to sink to their level. So, anyway, we'll see what happens. If he goes to jail, it is what it is. I'm not necessarily going to cheer him on to go to jail because I do think it sets a bad precedent. Some people might disagree with me on that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having some healthy disagreements on topics. But I just don't like the idea of political commentators going to jail. I just don't like that. Now, obviously, if he committed a crime, that's different. But that's not where it is right now. They gave him an administrative subpoena from OFAC for a reason. If it was criminal, they would have gave his ass a grand jury subpoena, or they just would have straight up searched his shit. So I do think it's more than likely a part of a bigger investigation. But anyway, give me ones in the chat if that all makes sense to you guys. You guys should be familiar now with the background. Give me ones in the chat if that all makes sense. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I hope you guys learned something new from that. And I realize that a lot of you guys I realize a lot of you guys like might not be familiar with the case. That's why I'm kind of explaining this from the beginning of what went down, who subpoenaed him, is it a criminal case or not? It's administrative right now, and then what he could potentially be doing, or what he should be doing. He should also be shutting the fuck up and not talking about this anymore. He should be shutting the fuck up and not talking about this anymore either. As well.
Your department is now investigating Piker and
A-Stone, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Top J. Mark Levin, Neville Singham, niece works for the Jays for racial and economic justice. His wife, Jody Evans, co-founded Code Pink when Medea Benjamin, who was Jewish. Yeah, I knew it. Singh is Antifa biggest donor, and he funds most of the left-wing protests. I think it's a fishing exercise if they really want to sing. Yeah, he's like a George Soros. Watermelon Realm, appreciate you with the gifted sub. He's basically a George Soros is what he is.
Code Pink, who hosted his trip to Cuba. The feds are looking at funding for the trip, which some think is tied to the Chinese Communist Party. Also under scrutiny, American...
Which makes sense because Singham is based out of Shanghai.
Businessman and social activist Neville Roy Singham, who has donated to Code Pink in the past and has alleged ties to China through his business dealings. The investigation is looking at his trip, which...
And Cuba works with China all the time. Cuba sells China a lot of our intel. Lots of it.
Involved as many as 40 American citizens who joined what is being called a Marxist convoy to Havana. The Trump administration wants to know if Piker and...
Yeah, and it was a bunch of them that went to this this thing. If you guys look, and I'll quickly skim through this because this is like a long vlog, but you can see HASAN is going all around Cuba, right, doing interviews.
Immediately been hit. We scrounge up a little bit of fuel.
Nothing can be...
This is him talking to a doctor. Where they're talking about how they always have outages. This is him talking with, let's see here. Who else did he talk
medical
with?
aid missions abroad.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it will target what he called forced labor linked to the Cuban labor export.
I think there's another doctor he spoke to, talking to some citizens. And then he met with this politician right here. I think this is like the foreign minister, if I'm not mistaken.
We're to be fully aware.
Carlos R. Fernandez de Castillo, Deputy Foreign Minister of Cuba.
And
they're definitely going to be interested in everything he spoke with this guy too. I guarantee you, if it's a subpoena for testimony, they're going to want to know everything that was said between him and this guy and any other Cuban officials he met with. Guys, do me a favor, smash the like button. By the way, as you guys know, I'm demonetized on YouTube. I make no money being on YouTube, so. I stream on here for you guys' convenience, but I'm not going to be on here long. So smash the like button if you guys want me to stay on here long. That way it makes a little bit of sense. Smash that like button for me on YouTube. Let's get to 1,000 likes. My main platform is Kick. You guys know this. We got what? We got about 3,000 plus you guys in here. Closely getting to 4K. So shout out to you guys. Smash that like button if you guys are watching on YouTube. All right. That's the least you can do. Because it does not benefit me whatsoever to be on this bullshit, this fucking garbage ass platform.
Given the facts about the policy of their government against Cuba, they would express their opposition more clearly. Life in Cuba has been increasingly become difficult. It was already difficult.
All right, so he spoke to this guy. Who else did he talk with? It's the most replayed part. Let's see what he says here.
Enemy of the United States. We're not unfriendly to the United States. We are not a threat to the United States. But we perhaps pose an example that for specific people in the United States is unacceptable.
It's going to be...
Behind Lebanon did their perspective.
Added many as
So let me know, guys, if I'm correct. Adversarial countries are finding ways to get around the basically getting around U.S. sanctions, the U.S. dollar, and our stranglehold that we've had many times on the financial markets via SWIFT. A lot of countries are finding ways around this, and SWIFT and BRICS has been a big part of that. And the other thing too is that we've eroded quite a bit of trust because other countries look at it like, well, why are we going to do business or, invest with the United States when they can freeze our money at any point if we do something that they don't like politically? Right? So, we obviously have billions of dollars that we're holding from Russia. We have billions of dollars that we're holding from Iran and other countries, thanks to sanctions. So this has prompted other countries to fight back against U.S. control of the financial markets via SWIFT, and they've been able to come up with alternatives, right? And this is why I'm so big on like, yo, look, like we need to, you know, countries are catching up to us militarily. They're catching up to us financially. They're catching up to us from an infrastructure standpoint. We are no longer the unipolar power of the world, okay? Putin delivered a famous speech back, I think, in like 2006 or 2007 at one of these global forums. It was one of these, international meetings. And he said that we're moving into a multipolar world, right? He said that back almost 20 years ago now. And this is where we are now. Was it World Economic Forum? Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know? You look at like a country like Russia, the most sanctioned country on earth, right? Because obviously their invasion of Ukraine in 2022. At one point, guys, they were able to become the 5th strongest economy in the world despite crippling sanctions. What does that tell you? They got kicked off SWIFT. They were sanctioned. American companies weren't doing business over there. Credit card companies pulled out. They had to, they got rid of McDonald's and all this other stuff. And they were still able to find a way to thrive and bring their economy up. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you guys this, that, U.S. sanctions, our military power, we're slowly losing the edge. And I think that, our leaders need to start going into, these foreign relations. We need to have a more aggressive foreign policy where we are, how do I say this? Where we exercise a bit more diplomacy, right? I think our hubris can cost us quite a bit of problems. I mean, look at it right now. Our hubris has put us in this Iran war, by the way. You want to talk about American hubris? Look at the Iran war. Look at the fucking Iran war. I think there's no better example of that right now. Trump thought he was going to be able to take it in 96 hours. He didn't. He thought they were just going to be able to bomb it, kill the Ayatollah, kill the top 50 members of government. The government will capitulate. They'd bend the knee to the United States. They'd get control of the oil, and they'd be good. Failed. Failed. Despite aircraft carriers, a nuclear program, sophisticated technology, military bases all across the Middle East, what happened? We got embarrassed by the 16th strongest military in the world. That doesn't have an air force, that doesn't have a navy. They just have a ballistic missile program and drones, and they've effectively destroyed all of our bases in the region, made them pretty much unusable, embarrassed us in front of our partners. They proved that we can't protect our allies in the region. They've shut down one of the most important trade waterways on earth that controls 20% of the world's oil and natural gas. They destroyed LNG in Qatar. This forced Europe to go back to getting Russian gas and oil after sanctioning them. That's American hubris right there. That's American hubris. And it's backfired. Now, Trump is desperately fighting to get the Strait of Hormuz open and have regular trade like it was on February 27th, but it's never going to happen. The Iranians have created like a Strait of Hormuz authority, which basically is going to ensure that everyone has to basically pay some type of fee or toll to go through. We thought we were going to destroy them. We have to make another fucking source of income. To hell. So, this is where we are. The power of sanctions don't have the same potency that they had before. And they're going to continue to get weaker and weaker.
Vote against the sanctions on Cuba, but only, the US, the Marshall Islands, Israel and El Salvador. Young people in Cuba have only ever known austerity. They've only ever known crumbling public realm because of the lack of resources. They've only ever known power outages and power shortages. And whilst they have a very effective health service, it's chronically under-resourced because it needs more research and more medicines. And so I can see how they get onto their iPhone or whatever else, and then they see pictures of unbelievable levels of wealth by a tiny minority of people 90 miles away in Miami.
Yeah.
They don't see pictures of the poverty in downtown Chicago. They don't see the pictures of the poverty in so many parts of the USA. And they don't also realize that 30 million Americans have no access to any kind of health care. And it's finished with this. We're in Cuba. Now look out in this wonderful city.
The island infrastructure.
Who's this woman? Let's see.
Dr. Lidice Valiant
Okay, another doctor.
Roca, head of the Photovoltaic Research Laboratory at the University of Havana and one of the leaders of Cuba's solar energy initiative. Since long
This will probably be someone that they're interested in talking to as well. And I'll tell you guys, well, asking him about as well. For those of you that don't know, guess who runs solar energy all across the world? Guess.
before the oil crisis, she's been studying how climate change has affected Cuba, making a green transition all the more critical to the island's future.
Cuba is at the epicenter of not only imperialism, but
Exactly. China.
also one of the more damaging aspects of anthropogenic climate change. The island infrastructure consistently suffers during hurricane season, and there are even rolling blackouts before the oil embargo worsened in these last 3 months. What role do renewable energies play in addressing this crisis?
I think renewable energy.
Guys, smash that like button, by the way. We got about, what, 1,400 you guys watching on YouTube right now? Smash that like button for me, guys. Got about 4,000 you guys in here total. Make sure to smash that like button for me. If you're watching on YouTube, let's get to 1,000 likes. We get that 1,000, I'll stay on a little bit longer for you guys. Otherwise, I am going to get off YouTube because then it doesn't make sense.
It's key for the energy independence of Cuba. So this.
People would come from.
Okay, here's the next person he spoke to.
Just a couple of decades ago.
Director General Cuban Neuroscience Center. Yep.
Oh.
They're going to be interested in that one too.
Perhaps 5 years ago, people would come from Miami, Cubans that lived there, to buy the cheap medicines in Cuba to sell.